Hello everyone, and welcome to my reaction to Gachiakuta episode 6, One Good Strike. In the live chat today we have Dark Shadow, Mugiwara, Odinoko, Sotos, Coffee Coke, aka Joan, Espada, Booty is here, Mike is here, Modru, welcome everyone. Off topic, but what do you like more? DC or Marvel? Or do we not need to choose? Because someone just asked me that, Espada. And I was like, I used to think this, but now I think this. But then turns out that's Marvel, so it's honestly a tough decision. I just finished watching Superman 1978. It was great. I loved it. So yeah, that's why I was leaning more towards DC now, but my OG was Marvel, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But back to anime. One Good Strike. Let's go. Man, has it already been a week?
なくなった。ここじゃ超過は使えない。地上に上がって応援を呼べ。俺は残火の様子を。よかった。ちょうど済ませてきたようだ。残火、怪我はないか。
Uh-oh, it's that guy.
誰だお前。ギバーの天界人。嵐や。
He's creepy.
出口が。くそ。他にもいたのかよ。盗ったか。こいつを狙うということは、掃除屋と敵対する。遅刻したんだよ。おいら方向音痴でよ。なんか他の奴らやられてるし。
But then...
無駄な時間与えちまったな。
Where's Inosuke? I mean Zanka.
君とぜひ話がしたいって人がいるんだよ。一緒に来てもらうよ。天界人くん。ああ、こんなんいらねえよ。安住いねえし。じいちゃん、思った掃除屋に何をしたい。ああ、あの性格悪そうなやつか。眠ってるだけで殺しちゃいない。ただオイラの毒はちょっとあいつにはきつかったかもしんねえけど。
Venom.
おとなしくついてくんならどうするよ。ああ。
Whoa.
お前いらねえ。俺の仲間は守る。
He's gonna die, isn't he? It's too nice. He's gonna die, isn't he?
こいつらの勝ちは守る。ああ、お前雑魚が守る。おい、クリス、一旦引くんだろ。俺を守る必要ねえんだよ。
Fall back to where?
一人でも。天界人くん、楽しまずに聞いてほしいんだ。もう死んでんだよね。
I knew that. I knew that was gonna.
雑魚には価値なんてねえから。
Such a good song. One Good Strike. Wait. ちゃんとした一匹. I don't know. Uh-oh.
Ludo. 何やってる。やめろ、ルド。どうした。なんで頭なんかぶつけて。
ずっとむしゃくしゃだけが、それだけがある。何にむしゃくしゃしてんのか言葉にできない。
Yeah, cause you're freaking 5.
やるせなさがそのむしゃくしゃに変わっている。
Yeah, when you don't know how to process the emotions.
そしてまだ分かっていないんだ。よし、これの手当て終わったら外出るぞ。何もないと感じる理由の一つは、好きなこと、やりたいことを見つけられてないからだ。いろんなものを見て、いろんな体験をして、好きなものを見つけていこう。そうしていくうちに、
Great approach.
この空っぽのお前の部屋はいつか好きなもので溢れているはずだ。好きな子連れ込むときは一言言えよ。約束な。
And that's when he started picking up worthless things that people threw away. Cut right through the board.
これも興味を示さないわけじゃないが。
レグとあれ何？
一般市民がゴミを捨ててるな。
You can just open that? That's what processing looks like sometimes. For a 5-year-old or 8.
それに何か感じたのか。
こんなちょっと壊れてるだけなのに出られるなんていつはまだ終わってないのにかわいそうだ。直したい直したい。
自己投影だけじゃない。お前は捨てられたものにも価値を見出せるのか。
Because of his most desires, you know, besides the basic ones, food, shelter, it stems from a perceived lack. So whatever you want in life, whatever you covet, whatever you work really hard to like, there's something that you think is lacking, and so you try and fill that. And but that he says it's a step past that. It's more than just, you know, projection of that perceived lack. But I mean, that's going to become his greatest strength, right? It's gonna make him who he is.
だからあの時は人気が使えなかったのか。俺たちは勘違いしていたが、ルドの能力は触れたものを人気に変える力じゃなかった。
Whoa.
物の価値を最大限引き出す力。
それだろ君の人気全くわかんねえ
You're both about to find out.
しっかりしろ。
クリス、あんたのおかげで思い出したんだ。本来やりたかったこと。あの言葉がなかったら今頃いつも通り切れ散らかすだけで何も埋めなかった。お前が言ったことを全否定して、お前が否定したもんを俺が全肯定する。それでお前をぶっ飛ばす。
Wow.
いいねいいね闘志が高いやつと強いギバーオイラ大好きなのよオイラはジャバーウォンガーお名前は
ルードだ。クソ野郎。
オーケーズタボロにやり合おうぜルド
違う。くそ、このままじゃ。
ルド、きっと焦りや怒り、いろんな感情が本質の妨げになっていたんだろう。でももう心配いらないな。
来れるもんなら来てみろよ。クソ野郎。
はいせーのジャバーグ
Is that guy okay?
つまんねえな少しは向き合おうぜ
I'm glad he's not giving him what he wants. This is like exactly the kind of thing to counter this guy. Like rubber and electricity.
みんなが無事に帰れるようにって祈ってたらしい。無事に帰ってほしいってことは防御を強くすればいいのか。俺はこう想像した。敵の攻撃が届かなければいいってな。
ああはいはい余計に特化した能力ってことかでもさオイラの攻撃当たんないかもしれないけど敵の攻撃もオイラには
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
お前気がつかなかったのか。動いてたのは俺じゃねえ。お前だよ。つまり俺にはお前の移動する先がわかる。グリスの祈りを体現してるからな。だから俺はグリスの武器 拳でお前をぶん投げんだよ。
Again.
オイラを移動させた最高にだるいやつじゃ。
お前がズタボロになるまで付き合ってやるよ。クソ野郎。
そっか。オイラが一方的にやられちゃうやつか。人を傷つける行為に罪悪感はないのかね。
Why should he?
ならよかった。
More. Twing.
めっちゃ気づかれてた。
I want Zanka back. He's doing more damage than I thought. But
もういいだろ。さっさとくたばれよ。
久々に気持ちよく殴られた。君にも味を合わせてあげなくちゃ。
oh great. I have a feeling
オイラ気づいた。
like you know how like you know when he was all defense and then the tables took a turn, but now it feels like it's gonna, you know.
君のその人気、敵意を察知してその攻撃を避けさせる能力、瓦礫をね。目くらましのつもりで飛ばしてみたとき。
It didn't stop that.
いや、意志がないものには反応できないって。
Yeah. Maybe
キラ、右の爪には強烈な神経毒があるんだ。
何してんだ。
yeah, he's not okay. I thought everything was gonna fall down on top of him. Maybe he's been breaking like pillars. Oh, intent. If he takes away the intent.
ナルド君、お前の人気は敵意とみなすのかな。しみだ。
You might wanna How? Why? Why do they only make 5-minute episodes? That is the worst thing about this show, is that they make 5-minute episodes. I quickly want to find a cool video, an interesting video regarding anger that I watched a while back. And before I watched the video, I shared it with my mods and I was like, I should watch this. As a joke, because the video is about anger. And God, I get angry sometimes. And I think any emotion is important because it will teach you something about yourself. But the stronger an emotion is, the more you have to learn from it, right? But this video was next level. So, I mean, when I shared it, I meant it as a joke. Because the title is Never Be Angry Again, Incredible Trick. And I was thinking about it the other day, not to make it too personal, but like my earliest memory from being angry was like, Uwu is still in therapy. Yeah, I used to have a doll that I would, like a teddy bear that it's squishy, it absorbs impact. And if I'm angry at characters and I'm like, ah! But like my earliest memory from being angry is like at my mom, because she would do something like buy things on credit that she knew she shouldn't and then hide it from my dad or whatever. And like, I mean, they were gonna divorce and then they didn't and then they didn't and then they did and then I moved out of the house and then they did separate and then it took like 3 years for them to divorce and now they're together again. It's like, but I think bad decisions make me angry. But you can learn a lot from that. You're not supposed to, because like, how does it affect you? As a kid, sure, you're young, things affect you. But now I'm an adult, so obviously you can't stay stuck in the past forever. So I found this, as much as I was joking, I did think this topic was very interesting. But then this is next level stuff. So I just think that it is a cool video regardless. So it's 7 minutes though, so, but man, is it worth it.
One of the hallmarks of my existence has always been, just an insane amount of anger and rage. It's been there as long as I've known. So I don't have a conscious memory of not having rage, right?
I don't know who this is.
Earliest
I don't know what
memories of life
channel.
when I'm 5 years old.
I just
have
thought it's
rage
fucking
like you
cool.
can't believe. And it's a problem all my life. So as a teenager, if I go more than 2 weeks without punching a hole in the wall of our house, it's a miracle. I mean, I am so good at drywall. You can't believe how good I am for all the stuff I have to repair around our house. Like, I'm breaking windows, it just doesn't, like, and so, and in a way, and of course I rationalized how much boxing saved my life because I had this amazing outlet for my rage, right? I got to basically exercise 6 hours a day. I'm hitting punching bags in people all day long. And it's just a beautiful outlet that keeps me out of jail. And a big part of that rage was inward, right? So it's not rocket science to understand that a person who has that much hatred for everyone has an enormous amount for themselves. And so one of the things I didn't realize was happening was what my inner monologue was, because as you can appreciate, your inner monologue is
There.
so
Every waking moment, you're talking to
and
yourself.
ubiquitous and present that it's easy to almost forget that it's there. I mean, that's the sort of dangerous part about it, right? Is kind of the David Foster Wallace "this is water" thing. The fish are swimming through water. The water's everywhere. They don't even realize they're in water. You don't realize the subconscious stream of thoughts that constantly flow. But eventually, I became aware of just what that self-talk was. And it was no longer the case. It was the angriest, the most violent self-talk you can imagine. I mean, it was like, there is no mistake that I could make that was anything other than my perfect standard.
So he just explains his anger and what it stems from. So then this is what he ended up doing.
So I, was working with a therapist who was one of the people who was sending me to this place in Arizona. And basically it became clear that, they proposed that I could shed this trait if I was willing to do a certain amount of work. And I was like,
And that's what most people are
"There's no
not
chance."
willing to do. They don't want to do the work. They just reside in themselves, like, this is how I am.
I'm 47 years old. This is the only way I've ever interacted with myself. How in the world?
It's easier to stay the
could this
same,
be
even if you
undone?
hate
It'll take
it.
another 40 years to undo this. And they're like, no, here's this exercise you're going to do. So the exercise was, every single time I did something where I would have that self-talk, I would have to immediately stop myself and
Already difficult.
pretend that
Stopping
it wasn't
yourself.
me that just did that, but it was one of my closest friends. And instead, I would audibly speak to that person. There's
Also
nobody else there,
difficult.
but speak to that person
Audibly.
as though
Because you'd feel
they
like an
were the one who
idiot.
made the mistake, and I was to.
But he wanted to
record that on my
change.
phone. So if I'm out there shooting my bow and arrow and I don't get a bullseye, instead of screaming at myself, I have to say, "Oh, imagine it's my buddy JR who just missed that shot. What would I say to him?" Pick up the phone, or pull out the phone, and say, of course, something different. And of course, what I would say in that situation was much kinder. I mean, infinitely kinder. It's like, if I'm saying it to my closest friend, I'm going to say it in a very kind way. And I had to take a copy of that audio and text it to my therapist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about
So can
vulnerability.
you
I was
Vulnerability.
all on board this practice until you mentioned that, at which point, and I trust my therapist to a very deep level, but I thought, wow, that's a mountain.
Well, this this poor person got a lot of text messages, a lot of audio files. But here's the part that just blows my mind. It only took, I don't know, I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back to look at my journals. It only took about 4 months to get rid of Bobby Knight.
And Bobby Knight is like a very angry guy, so that's his voice.
Again, we had kind of a mental model for what this looked like, which was Bobby Knight was the chairman of the board. He sat in the boardroom and nobody else got to talk.
And for those that don't know, Bobby Knight had a terrible temper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst.
Right. This is the guy that was throwing chairs across the basketball court.
Level 11.
Yep.
Out of 10.
And all of a sudden, like, we got to the point where Bobby Knight is not even in the boardroom anymore. In fact, as I say this today, like, I don't really remember what he sounded like. I mean, it's amazing to me. And I've had some really amazing opportunities to bring him back. Like, it's not like I'm making fewer mistakes, right? It's not like I'm better today than I was 3 years ago at all the things that I do. I'm not. I'm actually probably worse in many regards. But the difference is, I can communicate with myself. I think I can say this. I think I can say lovingly, right? And maybe not as
And
lovingly
a lot of
as
guys
some
are
people.
scared of that word, lovingly, because it sounds weak or lame or blah, blah, blah.
Okay. I still think I'm probably maybe just a little higher standard with myself than maybe I need to be at times, but I'm just not beating myself up like I used to. And I think by extension, I'm beating other people up a lot less.
Well, I don't know the extent to which your internal narrative reflects the
Okay,
narrative that others...
I think the last part is just him like respecting the other guy for sharing this. But I find that's why I really like Rudo as a character, because oh man, there's a lot to learn from him, right? And I like how the Reguto used the word projection, but I mean this is a fantasy, so it's gonna take a step past projection. There's more to this. But yeah, there's so much to learn from a character like Rudo. And he's still so young. And thankfully it looks like, thankfully he had the Reguto. Thankfully he was found by Engine. So I feel like this character could grow into being one of my favorite characters. And that's just based off of like what we've seen in 6 episodes now? 7? 6 episodes. One good strike. So for me, this episode, if I had to score it, I would start with giving characters a 10. Just because I feel like we haven't gotten the payoff yet, so maybe usually I wouldn't give it a 10, but I'm feeling like I'm already believing in the payoff. Character-wise. So, but it's tough. It's tough to give a 10. Let's say a 9 with a strong belief in the eventual payoff, and then I feel like it'll be a 10. And I kind of want to say the same for story. Visuals, I would give an 8. I want to say 7.8, but I could round up to an 8 anyway. Audio, 8. Enjoyment/investment of this episode, it's weird because I'm not interested in this bad guy right now. I'm not even really interested in their fight. Like, it's cool to watch, but I'm not invested in it. I'm invested in Rudo and where I see the story going with the character. But right now, in this episode specifically, if I were to try and bring it back, because now, like I said, these scores are based off of like a belief in where they're gonna go with this. But to bring it back to the episode, my enjoyment/investment in this episode alone, it's more like, yeah, an 8. Because I don't know, the bad guy is still some cool looking bad guy with some, like, there's no meaning behind the fight yet. I don't know why he wants Rudo. I don't know. So yeah, it's just like another fight. But man, that power was cool, and the way that he linked it to Gurisu. 8, I think, is fair, right? What did you guys think? There's a lot more to discuss regarding that the backstory we got from. It's tough to do it out of context. We need more time to learn. Why was he abandoned? Because I mean, what kind of memories do you think he has from back then? We don't know. And but yeah, I think to some extent we can all relate to that. Maybe the feeling of anger, but more so that feeling, that self-talk. Where in his case, he was a kid. He probably didn't understand it that well yet, but there was probably a lot of telling himself he's worthless and all those kinds of stuff. And I think that, yeah, a lot of people could work on that. Like, it's tough to go out and exercise and motivate yourself, but I think it's even more tough to work on inside stuff. And I think that's the most important thing, because everything else stems from that. So becoming self-aware of your internal thoughts and the reasons why you feel things. I hope that the story explores that a lot more, because I think everyone needs to do that in their day-to-day life. What are you thinking? Why are you thinking it? And how can you improve that? Because it will influence your actions. It will influence your personality, and it will influence your interactions with others. And that all of that shapes your whole life. Oh, that's fucking important, right? Rudo would be a good example of inspirational and relatable. But yeah, most of us have not gone through what Rudo has gone through. So even relatable is a bit of a stretch, you know? But there's something that you can relate to. So that's what makes it relatable. But even when you take inspirational, there just needs to be something. It doesn't need to be the whole character. From what I remember, his dad was sentenced to death because he was a killer. Oh, right. And then that girl said he's just like his dad. So he didn't leave him because he wanted to, but I guess people hating him because of that damaged him. Yeah, but you could still see if your dad got caught for murder, you could still see that as being abandoned, because why did he go and do that? Why did he have to leave me behind? Abandonment issues, especially at such a young age, they don't need to make sense. It's just that they left and you're there and you're in pain. Yeah, looking forward to finding out who his dad was, though, and if he was even really a killer. Because what is with the pain in his hands, huh? Anyway, great episode, great characters, very invested in the eventual story and the little seeds that have been planted so far. Definitely work on understanding those feelings, guys. See you next time. Bye.